I think I swallowed my com badge.
Already?
Yeah.
Tricorder? Medical tricorder.
Ow!
Watching Starfleet Academy is like watching one of your icons getting violated.
Oh! Come on, that's my boy, that's my boy.
Despite the incalculable damage already done to the franchise by Alex Kurtzman and crew, it's still enraging to witness yet another group of incompetent hacks, putting the boots to the barely twitching corpse of the once venerable property. What used to be a serious, thought-provoking series about exploration, aspiration, morality, and what it means to be human in a great big universe has been ground beneath a steady march of substandard crap, like Discovery, Picard, Strange New Worlds, and Section 31. Soulless products released by people who either fundamentally misunderstood Gene Roddenberry's vision, just didn't care, or actively hate it and are doing everything in their power to destroy it.
And within the limits of those action and adventure limits, we did not accept the myth that the television audience has an infantile mind.
I go here now, Ruby. Woo! Come on! I'm your third, baby. We're roommates, bro. Starfleet for life.
All of this takes place in the Discovery timeline in the 32nd century, after the burn. I never watched that show that far because it was unmitigated trash. I gather, though, that it was some catastrophic event that upended the galaxy as we know it. Keep in mind that this takes place some 800 years after Captain Picard and crew were exploring the stars. As far as I can tell, Starfleet Academy is Paramount's attempt at their own version of Wednesday or Harry Potter, complete with all the teen drama, romance, and jokiness that entails, with none of the charm, great characterizations, or capable writing. In no way does it resemble anything approaching a Star Trek show. The uniforms are for cosplay, the ships and interiors are generic and uninspired, just set dressing really, and the characters are immature, abrasive, and unlikable.
You are in the presence of Laura Thuck, daughter of Ashmeret, from the Klingon house of Dakhatash and the Jem'Hadar lineage of Kabaj.
Anyone notable, like the Doctor, is a background player, irrelevant to the proceedings so far. This show doesn't waste any time before we get our first whiff of the woke progressive stink that covers everything, like a shot of musk sprayed out the back end of a Targ. I don't know if they even do that, but you get the point. And yeah, Star Trek was always woke, or so the counter-argument goes. No, it wasn't. Not like this. There's a difference between forward-thinking optimism and performative messaging. It's all in the way it's presented and the ultimate aim of the material, like social engineering.
Obviously, what this means is that television has incredible power. They're saying that if a Star Trek can do this, then perhaps another carefully calculated show could move people in other directions. What's to keep selfish interests from creating other cults for selfish purposes?
This is yet another vehicle for pandering and message pushing.
Advocating for social change matters.
The words democracy, fascism, and activism are spoken within the first 14 minutes of episode 2, with activism coming up twice, even though Roddenberry and early Trek writers were careful to avoid 20th century political labels, and frame the Federation as a post-national, post-ideological society, not just America in space. Something that's obviously escaped the writer here. Here, the Federation is actually called a democracy. The whole thing.
The Federation is a democracy, Mr. President.
Never mind that the Federation is a collection of different member worlds with differing political systems. I mean, fuck it. Who cares about nuance? Who cares about world building or crafting an illusion of the future? Let's make it all the same as now, with people saying that's tight, bro, because nothing says 32nd century like,
Bro's making bros bets.
Well, not much straight.
Love to see it.
you have a cadet in a wheelchair in the 32nd century with all the technology available, 800 years after TNG, because we have to be super inclusive. Or body positive officers. It seems fitness standards have slipped some. The messaging all around is extremely on the nose, with the Federation portrayed in the negative.
The Federation. They're the villain of my story, too.
The youth as the only way forward, though they mostly come across as awkward millennials who need safe spaces, and any traditional institutions or practices as outdated, restrictive, and overbearing. You have the Fleet Admiral making statements about identity.
Progress is the acceptance of identity, not the negation of it.
And the Chancellor Nala making everything about youth activism.
Fortunately, any attempt, however, to manipulate people through any so-called Star Trek formula is doomed to failure.
Gone are the days of tense and interesting exchanges over the boundaries of power or the thought-provoking questions raised when cultures clash and morality and ethics are put to the test. No, we're quickly told who to despise and who to feel sympathy for. Obviously, you should hate the big bad pirate, but feel sorry for the single mother who joined up with him to rob supply freighters, which led to a Starfleet officer's death, because she couldn't find anything to eat in a universe where food replicators have existed for around 900 years.
You turned a woman desperate to feed her child into your accomplice, and now an officer's dead. The 12th this year.
There is no complexity to the storytelling. Everything is served up for you in a one-sided manner. No thinking required. Like in episode 2, when the Betazoid delegation arrives to discuss the planet's re-entry into the Federation after being abandoned for 100 years in the aftermath of the burn. You immediately know the Betazoid president is going to be an asshole, because his stodgy reluctance to embrace the new is telegraphed as much as possible. Progress is good, you see. Traditionalism and old ways are bad. The curmudgeonly War College officer should be chastised by our whimsical chancellor, who doesn't like wearing shoes in defiance to the uniform code. What an outdated idea.
Regulation footwear is a requirement.
Yeah, I heard that. I just don't like wearing them if I don't have to.
Remember when Starfleet had professional standards?
I prefer a certain formality on the bridge. I'd appreciate it if you wore a standard uniform when you're on duty.
Not here. In fact, forget professionalism. Nala has no gravitas, no charisma, no command presence whatsoever. There's no respect for protocol or decorum at all. No respect for the position. No one had trouble believing Captain Janeway was in command. This woman seems like she couldn't command her way out of a paper bag. She's biased and emotional and completely ineffectual as captain. Here they are in the Athena getting slammed right up the ass. And Nala's command is...
All remaining power to forward shields.
Didn't you mean aft? All power to aft shields?
All remaining power to forward shields.
Or how about this?
Fire full spread.
A full spread of what? Phasers, photon torpedoes, quantum torpedoes?
Mr. Wolf, photon torpedoes, maximum yield, full spread.
Who cares? Forget any seriousness or attempt to craft a believable setting. Caleb is supposed to be an unwilling participant in the school, desperate to find his mother, hardened by criminality and conflict over a decade of surviving on his own, and he's played as a complete joke, like something off of Lower Decks. He's a total jackass. From episode 1 as a hardened criminal and fighter to episode 2 as a complete clown. It's already a huge turnaround in characterization. No consistency whatsoever. The characters are almost universally annoying and abrasive, with the adults coming across worse than the students somehow. The worst out of that group by far, though, is the extremely annoying Sam.
In the Athena observation.
Hi. Hello.
A hologram from a holographic colony who prefers to be called a photonic.
Is a colony of holograms?
We prefer photonics.
Don't miscategorize her. And she's programmed to be just like a 17-year-old girl. Not sure who they modeled that after. I hate every moment she's on screen. The most beta Klingon ever hasn't done much yet, except deliver his lines terribly.
I watch birds. My mother, she taught me to see the beauty in things.
But based on cast interviews, we know nothing good is coming.
I think that we are redefining what it means to be a warrior.
Fortunately, any attempt, however, to manipulate people through any so-called Star Trek formula is doomed to failure.
There are a couple other students, the outgoing girl who's fine for now, and the arrogant dude who can transform and withstand the vacuum of space.
You think? I follow.
Okay.
And then we have the obese Jem'Hadar second in command who's big and loud, and happens to be Tig Notaro's lesbian lover. So there's that.
I left a starship on the edge of creation to be with her.
Checking all the boxes. Apparently the offspring of a Klingon mother and a Jem'Hadar father, nothing has been explained about her so far, or why there is a female Jem'Hadar at all.
You people are no fun at all. Glad I'm not a Jem'Hadar woman.
There are no Jem'Hadar women.
or about Ketracel White, or anything. The writer doesn't care about details like that. That genetically engineered shock troops born in vats under the Dominion were never created to breed. She's just used for comedy. Yet another teacher at the Academy. The disciplinary archetype who's overbearing like a Klingon.
You will not live in fear!
Isn't that funny? All of these characters are insufferable, except for a couple, and the captain's one of the worst. Forget any compelling characters of any sort. And forget any attention to detail as well. You know, the thing that Star Trek was so well known for. Caleb hacks computers with the press of a button.
Communication subsystem override.
There's zero interest in the technology of the time or the process of using the tech. The stuff that fascinated so many Star Trek fans about the possibilities of the future and made the world more interesting and tangible. Everything now is done with the wave of a hand, a single button press, or a poor rendition of a 90s hacking movie. It's total dog shit. They miss the science in sci-fi completely. Whatever's there is shallow and unexplained, generally purposeless. The story itself is uninteresting, with the main thrust being Caleb looking for his mother and Nala helping him, because she felt guilty for sentencing his mom to prison all those years ago.
So this is, guilt band-aid.
Doesn't matter.
The first episode deals with Caleb's backstory and introduces Paul Giamatti's character as the villain, who disappears for episodes 2 and 3. Episode 2 introduces the classes and the Betazoid delegation, which includes Caleb's love interest. And episode 3 focuses on the rivalry between the War College and the Academy, like Slytherin versus Gryffindor. Just substitute Quidditch for this Calica game, and you get the idea. This is also where the teen drama and 90210 type bullshit really ramps up. It's brutal. From the tone, the music, the story, the characters, the environments. Wow. You can't even pretend you're watching Trek. Good stories can be told about the Academy. TNG did it very well, with characters that felt real, with real stakes and a compelling central conflict. This is not that. It's like a shiny turd that got mashed under a tire, and the skid mark's the most notable thing about it.
I can make myself permeable, bitches!
Hey, that's cheating!
Nothing in the rule book about it!
The school itself and the classes are, of course, portrayed comically. The first day in class, the students are handed containers of goo to take care of, because isn't that so weird and funny? It's so funny when the awkward hologram girl spills goo all over Caleb, isn't it? Isn't it?
Mucus neutralized. Have a nice day.
We did not accept the myth that the television audience has an infantile mind.
The whole thing's a jokey ripoff of the Harry Potter and Wednesday format, just done far worse and jammed into the Star Trek universe that in no way feels like Star Trek. Parts of the show are shamelessly copied from other properties. There's no attempt to make the dialogue futuristic or sci-fi in any way. The characters swear, 21st century slang is thrown around with no care for verisimilitude.
This is a PR dumpster fire.
Everyone quips jokes and speaks like someone from LA. It's the lowest of efforts. Gene Roddenberry's vision trampled once more by Hollywood hacks who should have never been involved in the first place. Ironically, with all the message pushing and insertion of woke idealism to the exclusion of all else, this show shares more in common with something akin to the Borg.
Your culture will adapt to service ours.
Impossible. My culture is based on freedom and self-determination.
Freedom is irrelevant. Self-determination is irrelevant. You must comply.
The hive mind is hard at work here, with blunt political messaging lacking any sort of finesse or subtlety of past entries in the franchise. Before Kurtzman Trek. Don't think, just open your eye holes and let all the garish nonsense come flowing in. We're only 3 episodes in, but you don't need to be a genius to see where this is going. This show is a wokester's wet dream, and it was written as such, full of shallow, quippy dialogue, idiotic jokes, insufferable characters, and cheap melodrama. Completely infantile and made for an audience that doesn't exist. Certainly not for the older crowd that loved this stuff and used to call themselves Trekkies and Trekkers. As far as I'm concerned, this should be subject to General Order 7.
General Order 7, no vessel under any condition, emergency or otherwise, is to visit
Starfleet Academy.
And to do so is the only death penalty left on our books.
Dismissed. Out!